M-O-O-N, that spells evil. Well, in this case, at least half of evil. Moonstone, to be exact, or Karla Sofen, is one of those Marvel characters many haven't heard much about, but is one that has a way of making quite an impact when she does appear. Growing up the daughter of a devoted mother who gave all she had to help raise a successful and college-educated child, Karla Sofen saw this devotion as weakness and vowed to never put the needs of another before her own. An interesting vow for someone who became a psychiatrist, one might think. It turns out Karla thought so as well and couldn't stand depending on others for her financial comfort, even if she did manipulate patients into doing awful things at her bidding and for her entertainment. But that wasn't the only manipulating that Sofen did. When Sofen was given access to the individual originally known as Moonstone, she used her psychological skill to convince Lloyd Block to surrender the stone that gave him his powers to her. Once in possession, of course, Karla absorbed the stone and its powers into herself, becoming the new Moonstone. This stone, said to be of Kree origin, big surprise, gave Karla Sofen, or Moonstone, incredible abilities like flight, an advanced healing factor, which isn't often needed thanks to her superhuman level strength, stamina, and reflexes. Oh, she can also pass through objects if she doesn't want to blast them with her laser beam hands. Her powers and manipulation skills work to get Moonshine just about anything she wants, including positions in the Thunderbolts and in the Dark Avengers, where she posed as Miss Marvel in place of Carol Danvers. If that tells you anything of the great powers she has, that should also tell you of the great responsibilities that also lie on her shoulders. Only she wants none of it, choosing to serve as a villain or an anti-hero as long as it serves her purpose. Regardless of her choices, Karla Sofen is a very interesting and powerful character that does represent strength, even if not in the best way, and even if she's not yet highly known. Yet, because thanks to Hasbro and Walgreens, collectors get a chance to add this character to their shelves and to their battles. Maybe this will only be the beginning of what we see of Moonstone. Just throwing that out there, MCU. Kind of low-hanging fruit. Hey everyone, my name is Jonathan, aka JK of JK Collects. In this episode, we are taking a closer look at the Hasbro Marvel Legends Walgreens exclusive, Moonstone. Hey everyone, welcome back, and here it is, Marvel's Moonstone, the Walgreens exclusive. Very excited to be able to get my hands on one of these, right? So I kept looking on Walgreens' site, and then I saw a news article saying it was available, picked it up, and when this is being filmed, they are still in stock. So if you like it, go ahead and see if you can get one. They're shipping them. I don't know about finding it in store, how easy that's going to be or whatever, but here on the back, we've got that typical rendering of the characters. So cool looking, just what a power stance, and then we've got two spare hands. Some comic book panels here in the back. Very neat. I mean, they're not just her because we've got obviously Spider-Man's face right there. It would be neat if they were, you know, catered to the actual character, but beggars can't be choosers, right? It's kind of a copy of the McFarlane backdrop thing. And then there we've got some artwork, right, of her looking all powered up, ready to go with some lasery eyes. And then over here on the side, another rendering of Moonstone herself, and then yet another rendering on the front because we've got the minimal plastic packaging. Minimal plastic, as I always say, because there's tape, which I appreciate. I mean, if there wasn't tape, it would make it even easier for you know, fraud or theft, something to happen. It always breaks my heart when I'm in a store and I see a torn open box or something like that, and you know, I just wonder what happened. Is somebody unfortunately going to get ripped off? And I just hate the idea of that. There we go, empty box. I digress from that sad topic. Hopefully nobody does. There is our Hasbro pamphlet. Thank you so much, Hasbro, for that. One little pouch, right? Our two spare hands, and that is everything for extras. And then we have the figure floating in her own little tissue pouch, and that's it. We've got nothing else in the cardboard. So that's all there is as far as checklists to look for. Let's check out these spare hands that we have. And again, these are crumpled and curled over themselves, so you know, no adhesive or anything like that wasted on it. No tearing, because sometimes the tearing can be violent and little things like this can go flying. And would you look at that? It's those good old usual Marvel female casting a spell. Put a spell on you hands. So I think we're kind of used to how these look, right? These are identical, obviously, just different hands. We are still going to take a little bit closer look. Let's shift it to manual to make sure that the focus stays up with it. So there we go. I mean, typical thing that we're used to seeing. You know, nothing new, nothing major. I do appreciate that this appears to be a gloved hand, right? So there's that slight bit of, like, you can see the pull of the fabric kind of glove right there. Because sometimes it'll be supposed to be a gloved hand, but then you can clearly see fingernails or something like that. And there's the subtlety of fingernails, not perfectly sculpted, and then see some of that stuff. So anyway, that is me trying to find a reason to talk about a very well used, very commonly used hand. Okay, but there we go. And those are the only additional accessories that come with her. So let's move on and look at Moonstone herself. Let's pop her out of here. Okay, oh, very neat. I like that. So in the tissue, there's an additional piece of cardboard. So what this tells me is they're constantly listening, learning, and adapting, right? So it's possible that the legs get bent together, or maybe some paint rub. Now, I mean, obviously it doesn't really seem like paint rub would be an issue with these legs, but the fact that those are there is that additional thing to help protect the figure and not adding more plastic, just a little bit of cardboard in there. So very cool. It's nice to see that. But here we go. I mean, just from first impressions, this is a very cool looking figure. Yes, it's a very basic body, but it is a very bulky basic body. I mean, she's ripped. Look at that. It's not like the typical basic female body that we've commonly seen. In fact, I am very excited to take a closer look at this one. Okay, let's start with the head. So the hair looks great. Very well sculpted. I appreciate that we've got at least 2 different tones in here, right? So the lighter brown, because she's a blonde, but they're not going too heavily into the blonde. So it's definitely a light sandy brown and then a little bit darker kind of orangish brown in there to bring out some of the highlights. It is that sculpted hair, sculpted very well, and it is that soft rubbery plastic. So posing of the head is going to be a bit of a challenge because it always does get in the way. But I appreciate the quality of the sculpting, and then the face itself. Let's look at that. So very well done. One thing that stands out immediately for potential customizations, the mask is painted on, so it is not sculpted. So there you go. If there were doubts or questions out there in the world with collectors or customizers, yes, this white is just painted on there onto the face. There is no sculpted or raised mask to that. So that's very cool because it's a great looking head, great looking face, right? So I think there's probably a lot of good opportunities for that out there. In fact, if G.I. Joe didn't have a cover girl in the way, this could be a possibility. You know what? Maybe it could, right? The blonde hair, because they're doing the red hair. So there we go. Just throwing that out there. Anyway, back to the topic at hand. Very well painted. I do not really see many issues. The white can get a little bit soft on the edges with it being a paint job. It seems very well applied if I'm comparing the white to the white of the costume, like on the neck right down there. Even with the shadowing, you can see that it's a thick enough paint job that it's not letting the face, the sculpted lighter flesh tone plastic showing through, and the eyes, an excellent paint job on that. I mean, just look at that. The blue with the white just reflecting right off of it. I mean, I think they did a great job. Okay, moving on, the neck is attached. It is part of the torso, big surprise, but we do have that hinge up there with the ball joint up in the head, so that does give us some good potential freedom of movement, so she can look down very well, right? Almost chin to chest, but it does pop back up because the hair does force it up. Upwards, not going to be the best, right? Because the hair immediately hits the shoulders, but it does slide down a little bit and allows a slight upward look. So that is definitely above straightforward, because straightforward would be about like that. And then she does have the ability to look up. So it's nice, right? Even with this bulk of hair back there. Now side to side, not terrible, right? And because it's on that ball, so it does give it some freedom. And the way that the hair is sculpted, it can kind of go in between these little pieces there. But let's check out the ultimate. Can we do it? Yes, there we go. Even with all that massive hair and without a lot of manipulation, it does that full exorcist rotation. So very happy to see that. All right. Now here's what I'm very excited about is the arm, right? Now this may already exist in some figures that I don't have as far as the females go, but okay, there's no butterfly joint, not a big deal, because we do seem to have pretty good flexibility in this arm, right? So it goes up very well, goes back decently well, and the shoulder does have good rotation, right? So we can see that, but it also has the bicep tricep, and I mean, just look at it. It is very well sculpted. So some massive triceps on this figure, but it's got the that full rotation capability, even with that amount sculpted in there and the larger musculature. I mean, God, look at that forward, that front deltoid, the anterior deltoid, right? Am I thinking of that right? Yeah. Yes, I think so. Anyway, But here is what's exciting to me, right? So double pinless elbow, right? Okay, yeah, and like very little resistance on that. So she's great, right? She can answer the phone very easily. That is excellent flexibility on that, and it's super cool to see a pinless elbow. All the females that I have picked up so far have had that reuse of the pinned elbow, and even sometimes just a single. No forearm rotation, but we do have good wrist rotation, and it does the back and forth or pronate and supinate, right? So very cool. And we've got two fist hands on the figure. The other side does the same flexibility, so that same capabilities on that. We do have mid-torso, and this has the more freedom range of motion, so it probably is on a ball joint in there instead of having that just straight forward and backward that we see a lot, especially on the male figures. Backwards, pretty good, right? Standing upright, and forward, not much. Not really any at all, which is, you know, whatever. Well, what can we do about that? Not much. I appreciate that the sculpting rises pretty high here in the ab area, right? So, and even the paint of the little stone type emblem goes all the way up, so we don't have a big gap very easily, even when it's bent back all the way. The forward does not have much movement, which would probably cause some paint rub if we tried to force it of this yellow. Obviously no waist rotation because we do not have a line right there. But you know, I kind of thought that we might have a little bit more flexibility here with the split, but not so much. I would love to see that pull down that we see very commonly on like the G.I. Joe figures from Hasbro. So it happens. It's in the same building, the same company. Let's try and incorporate it over because it does create more flexibility. But you know, it does also create that potential gap. Forward, pretty solid, right? Good kick. Doesn't really create a whole lot of a gap. A little bit down here. Backward, not really that far, but again, humans, we don't really kick that far backwards, but then the knee takes over. We do have upper thigh rotation, and we've got a double knee. This is a pinned knee to not match the pinless elbow, but it is quite flexible for that good old limbering up for the battle, right? That anti-hero / villain battle. If she can't trick your mind, she'll definitely beat you up. And then in the foot, we do not have calf rotation because we do not have that line separation right there. The foot, it does have, I can see that it's got forward backwards, but I don't really want to force it. Let's see if this one will do it. So a little tight in there, but it does have the joint. There we go. So a little bit. It definitely wants to go, but I don't want to force it. It does have a good back, and it looks like the forward's going to be pretty decent with a little bit of heat. What really matters is she can break the old ankle, right? She's not impervious. She's just got superhuman strength. She'll heal quickly. It'll go right back, but she can still do it. Other leg, same flexibility. Paint apps, we don't really have a lot to look at, right? Here in the center, the yellow. On all this white cast plastic, we've got yellow paint, so not that hard to pull off, right? Yellow is already a pretty light color, but it is very thickly applied. As you can see, it's very smooth, very clean, very uniform. And no real issues on that. So, I mean, especially with a shape like this, it seems like there could be a lot of possibility for error. And then here on the arms, I've got a little bit of a chip right there, but that's not, I wouldn't say that that's like a paint issue. That's just something that happened to my figure. I might have done it in playing with these things, with these crazy nails that I have, but who knows? All in all, I would say that the paint looks great on this. Maybe a little thin right here, but not enough to really be a problem because it's yellow on white. And even the elbows, you know, sometimes there can be discoloration between the different plastics. Here, slightly different, but not enough to really write home or cry about. And then the little bolt back here on the back, also very well applied, no real issues with that. And it looks fairly well centered, honestly, because we've got some pretty good things to reference it to. And with the bolt, obviously the center of it would not be because it starts off-centered, but then right down the middle of it, it looks pretty clean. So this is a good one. This is a great figure. It does not come with a lot. It is a Walgreens exclusive, but the good news is they list it on the site as not even available in stores. But every time I look, and I looked again, as of the day that this was filmed, it was available for shipping. So if you're interested, definitely pick it up, but we'll be back with some 360s of it. Hey everyone, a big special thank you goes out to everyone who participated in the Arrive Serpento Arrive giveaway that we have been running for the past month. I am happy to say that the entry period has ended. All entries have been collected, including the early commenters that got the keyword. You know who you are. The winner of the Arrive Serpentor Arrive giveaway is now posted on your screen. We will be reaching out for the best way to send out this awesome, unopened, factory fresh G.I. Joe Classified Series Serpentor with Air Chariot. Now, if you were not the winner, don't fret. We were only getting started and already have more great giveaways planned. Thank you again so much to everyone who participated and who supports the channel. I cannot tell you how much your support means to me, and I can't wait for more chances to give back to you. Well, that about brings us to the end of this episode. Thank you for taking the time to join us. Now, if we ever do a review of something you are trying to find for yourself, please follow and DM us on Instagram at JKCollectsToys so we can help with the search if we don't already have a way of getting one. Also, if you enjoyed this episode, let us know, and let YouTube know by subscribing and clicking that like button. The more that happens, the more YouTube recommends us, so we can hopefully reach even more collectors and help them find the things that they need. And if you'd like to see some more videos, we have some links on your screen right now for you to check out. And remember, collecting or not, we are all in this world together. Let's look out for each other. Thank you.